It's
Well,
impromptu. It's secret.
yeah, it's a random encounter.
Yeah, it's a random cast, as Induo would say. So yeah,
Though that does bring up one thing.
yeah.
When inspired this to come up?
Well, it was a combination of things. First of all, let's see. I went to work today, even though I thought I wasn't going to go to work yesterday, but I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. So I went to work today, and I got my text that says my taxes came in. I had direct deposit, so I got a large amount of money back from the state. Whereas the federal government fucked me, but that's neither here nor there. Thanks a lot, Republicans. And so basically, what I did was so I came into a large sum of money, and I put a lot of that back into my my investment account. So like that's good. But the extra, I said I'm going to splurge this weekend and do something for myself to treat myself. I don't know what I'm going to get, but it's going to be nice. Like when I was much broker and much poorer, the nice thing that I got myself one tax year was a 3DS, which tells you how long ago this shit was.
Years back.
Yeah, so I was much broker back then. But anyway, so yeah, that's what prompted this impromptu little thing. And then, like, I decided I'm not going to work tomorrow because just didn't feel like it. So
I was about to say, why don't you use that time to check out the movie?
yeah, I'm gonna do that Saturday. Like Saturday is my movie time. That's when I'm gonna wanna,
Okay.
go to the movies and do cool stuff. From what I've heard of people who've seen Endgame, they say it's really good. They say the one downside is that there are no end credits, but really it's the end game. Like we're saying goodbye to the old crew and ushering in the new crew. But from what I've heard of people who've seen Endgame, Brie Larson still is not a very good actress.
At least she only gets her 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know why people are surprised because I don't think she was ever that good of an actress. Like when I saw her,
didn't she win an Oscar?
Yeah, but there are people who won Oscars who aren't necessarily like there are movies that get Oscars that aren't good movies. Suicide Squad got an Oscar, so I mean that's that's not what I would call like the Oscars don't mean what they used to. If you get what I'm saying.
I understand what Red Fox is saying because there's some movies that are supposed to be good and yet don't get nominated.
Yeah, and then there are movies that like this year's Oscars, they gave it to like I think best editing. Well, best editing got
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Was Bohemian Rhapsody. I saw that movie. That movie has shitty editing, but they gave it to it because people were like, "Well, the Queen music is so good," And I mean, there's been pity Oscars. Like Francis Ford Coppola got a pity Oscar for The Godfather Part 3, even though that's like the worst movie in the trilogy. Like it's terrible. And Suicide Squad got an Oscar, even though that was a pity Oscar because none of those films are that good. So, and I mean, to be fair, they gave Black Panther an Oscar, but to also be fair, if they didn't give Black Panther something this year, look, all the black folks would have murdered some people in the China theater. People would have been killed. So it's like, you better give these people something, goddammit.
It was all right movie, really, at least to me.
Better give me something, goddammit. But yeah, like I said, I just no, it was not a very good. It was not. She's like I said, Brie Larson, not a very good actress. Like typically speaking, childhood actors, they have to make that crossover. And very few childhood actors can make that crossover to being a truly good actor. Robert Downey Jr. is rare. He was a childhood actor that kind of made the crossover. Most of them are not that good. And I know some people are going to get angry. Oh, but didn't you like Captain Marvel? I thought it was okay. Like, here's the thing. The best part about Captain Marvel was Samuel L. Jackson. To me.
That's the thing. Sometimes the best part of a movie is something that doesn't star the lead actor.
Mm-hmm.
And Samuel L. Jackson is one of them.
But Sam Jackson can make a shitty movie good, so.
Well, if they had to use the emergency star, then well.
There's a caveat. He has to be allowed to curse. If you can't curse, then it's just not worth it. So I recently uploaded a video talking about the straw that broke the camel's back.
Which one?
Well, I had to lift my embargo on the Epic Store for one game.
Oh God, you beep!
I had to do it. But it's not the game people think. It wasn't Borderlands 3. It wasn't The Outer Worlds.
And just for anybody in the back, it's not anything like Fortnite.
No, it's not Fortnite. There's a game called Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. That's basically it's the next game in the Rebel Galaxy series, but it's a prequel to Rebel Galaxy, the first game. And it scratches a itch that I haven't had for a long time, which is essentially outer space exploration with RPG elements, games where you're in a spaceship going around doing stuff and, landing on planets and taking on missions, that type of thing. We don't get those types of games anymore. And this one has it. So I'm glad. I'm glad that it finally came. So what you guys been doing aside from,
well,
things that have been bothering you?
If anything, I'm just checking through cards.
Really?
Yeah. And well, so far I got zilched.
Really? Are these physical cards or
Physical?
Physical?
Yeah.
Right. So what are these? Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon trading cards?
Pokemon.
Star Wars trading cards?
I said Pokemon, but if anything, I was gonna say this, that I was trying to look for any unusual ones that were around, mainly Bushiroad cards.
Yeah, I never got into Pokemon the trading card game. I was always more of like other nerdy trading card games. Like for me, it was like I like Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't like the trading card game. Like I used to play it when it first started, and then I was like, I don't like giving all this money to Konami. I'd rather play the video game trading card game because then I don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on card packs. So yeah, but the trading card game that I got into when I was younger was Star Wars, the trading card game. Yeah, because I was a huge Star Wars fan at the time. Basically I had decks for almost all the factions. I had decks for the scum of the galaxy, so you had like bounty hunters and criminals and shit. And then I had decks for the rebels, and then had decks for the Imperials, and then I had my eclectic deck, which was like these characters would never fight on the same side, but fuck it, I'm going with it, And,
wow, deck.
Yeah, like the eclectic deck where I had Yoda and Darth Vader in the same deck as hero cards, shit that would never really
happen.
It never really happened, but why not? Yeah, I was that type of Star Wars the trading card person type of person. And, I mean, I was with it. I was with Star Wars the trading card game until the prequels came out.
How did the card game feel like, as in the gameplay of it?
It was kind of like a dumbed down Magic the Gathering.
I was into Yu-Gi-Oh cards for a while until I dropped because knowing that I'll never be able to create a very strong deck.
Unless you spent hundreds of dollars. Yeah.
Especially on the Exodia cards.
And I mean, like the thing about Yu-Gi-Oh is that even if you have trash monsters that have shitty stats but good special abilities, like when they go face up, you can actually do pretty well with a deck like that with just special monsters. But the thing is like with Yu-Gi-Oh, like I said, it's like you have to get so many card packs in order to build an effective deck to play competitively. It's like that's what I like about that's what I like about Star Wars the trading card game is that you spent like $50-$60 on the base thing. Well, no, at the time when it first started, it was only the original series, so that was like $30-$40. But you got everything. You got everything you needed to play the game with somebody or against other people. And then like I was with it. I got all the booster packs. I got little expanded universe characters. I got Ouija, the Ewok, who's got prosthetics so that he can fly an X-wing. Like yes, I got Ouija. I like Ouija, and if you don't like Ouija, well, that's on you. But anyway, yeah. So I was with it until the prequel trilogy came out, and I was like, I don't give a shit about any of these characters. I hate Jar Jar Binks. Even now, I hate Jar Jar Binks. Like, I wish he would die. Like, I literally wish that character would die. Like, that's the one thing. I'm like, George Lucas, you killed so many other characters. Why can't you just kill Jar Jar Binks? J.J. Abrams had the balls to kill Han Solo, but he couldn't have that piece of shit human being, Kylo Ren, kill Jar Jar Binks. Really? Really, the one character I wanted to die horrifically in Star Wars is still fine, apparently. He's happy. It's like, shut up, bitch.
I would have preferred that those little eyesores of cuteness would be sent to the trash heap.
The Porgs.
Yep.
Well, they got 8. Chewbacca ate the Porgs, so I guess.
Well, it makes me wonder if they're good snacks then. Though, if anything, you said that the Star Wars trading card game was kind of like a weak version of Magic the Gathering.
Well, no, it was kind of like a dumbed down version. So, like, you know how Magic the Gathering, you have for some of the monsters, you have summoning sickness. So even if you summon it, you can't use it that turn. Like you gotta it doesn't. You don't have that except for like spaceships, where like even if you pull out a spaceship, it has to get off the ground or get out of the loading bay or something like that. But like for hero characters, you can use them immediately. Like that's what I like about Star Wars, and the matches are fast, which I like. Plus, I mean, how you can build decks to cater to different things, like a Yoda deck. I mean, you can have a Jedi deck that's like heavy Jedi. You can have a tech deck. You can have a Jedi Hunter deck that's all cards that are designed to go up against Force users. You can do. I mean, there's decks for everything.
Which works pretty well if you think about it.
Yeah. The only thing about the Star Wars trading card game, like I said, is that like I said, the prequel trilogy cards, like if you don't like the prequel trilogy, you're not going to want to use those cards. And the new cards for the new movies, oh god.
Overpowered and too cheap.
Well, I just don't like the characters. I don't like the new trilogy's characters. I don't like Rey. I don't like Finn. I'm not a huge fan of Poe Dameron. Like I don't like any of these characters. I mean, you know, it's like people are saying like, well, how come, you know, you're gatekeeping Star Wars? No, I'm not.
You certainly are.
No, I'm not. No, gatekeeping is where you're like, well, I'm preventing people from watching it. No, they can watch it as much as you want to. Because here's the thing, okay? I'm not one of those OG people who saw Star Wars when it came out in the theaters because I wasn't born. Because Star Wars, New Hope came out in 77, Empire Strikes Back 80, Return of the Jedi 83. I was born in 86. So basically all the Star Wars movies I was not alive to see. So literally, like, I was watching it after the fact. But like, I did grow up watching them because eventually, you know, it took forever. Because back in the day, movies like that took forever to finally hit VHS and Laserdisc and stuff like that. But when they finally re-released them on VHS, I got them and I watched them. And they used to, like, it used to be a big event when they would put Star Wars cut up on TV. And so I watched them and I was like, this shit's fucking awesome. And I watched it and I was like, this is great. And like, so for me, the original trilogy is what resonated the most because like when I was a kid, that's what I was watching. A lot of people like the prequel trilogy because they were kids when they were watching it, and for them, it resonated with them. For me, because like I resonated with the original, the prequel trilogy was like I'm not crazy about this trilogy, and I don't like a lot of the characters, but I understand why this story needed to be told. Because basically, if A New Hope is about this rebellion taking on this monolithic and fascist empire, the prequel trilogy tells how this shit got to this situation where it was this bad. And I even like Rogue One. Rogue One is a very good film. I mean, it's like, especially if you go into Rogue One knowing that, yeah, all these people don't get too attached because they're all gonna die. You know?
And people didn't like that.
Yeah, but I mean,
they wanted to feel attached to these characters.
I understand that.
That's more meaningful.
No, I understand that, but the thing is like, you knew because
how the story ends in a sense for some of these characters.
Well, I mean, if you watch A New Hope, like Mon Mothma's like, yeah, many Bothan spies died to get us this information. Yeah, like everyone who had those Death Star plans were they weren't gonna have a happy ending. I'm sorry, they weren't gonna make it, you know. But and
they knew they were going. They knew they were going to die. It's just that they want their personalities to be more interesting rather than one-note characters.
They were kind of one note, but they weren't like they served their purpose for what you were getting. Like, okay, Jyn Erso was her big thing was, okay, like I was taken away from my father and grew up on the streets, and you know I have to do what I have to do to survive. Right, because basically Rogue One shows you the rebellion when they're first getting started, and they're cutthroat. They have to be just as dark and as dank and as stanky as the Empire, because they're the underdogs, right? And they're desperate, they're hungry, they need a win, right? That's a big thing. And you know, it's like, I mean, for me, I think everyone had one character they liked in the film. I mean, to be honest with you, although I will agree, Rogue One, I mean, like you couldn't really get that attached to because there was a lot of characters who were part of that mission. Like, so, but I think everyone had one character from that group that they liked. Like some people liked the pilot, some people liked Jyn Erso, some people liked the guy whose name escapes. I call him not Poe Dameron. not Poe Dameron. I personally like the robot. I thought he was cool. like they go undercover and he slaps that guy in the face. He's like, what? Don't you back talk me? You want a fresh one? It's like I think something's wrong with this droid.
Sometimes those weird characters are worth watching again.
It was a throwback to the prequel trilogy. With the killer droids, because one of the major things that happens in Rogue One is that basically like Jyn Erso gives him a gun. He's like, you have no idea what this means for you to give me a gun, because the big prohibition on the Empire is that you're not allowed to have droids that have weapons, like fatal weapons. They can have an ion prod or something that also doubles as a tool like R2-D2, but they're not allowed to have weapons because of the droid army thing. But I mean, overall, like I said, Rogue One probably would have done better as a TV series. Because then you could have really developed the characters. They all would have died, but it would have made their deaths more impactful. You know what I mean?
Well, we are getting a Star Wars television program.
Yes, The Mandalorian. Yes, The Mandalorian. I think Solo should have been a TV series and not starring Alden Ehrenreich, because, as someone who's read the Young Han Solo trilogy, it's 3 fucking books, and each book is divided into like you could literally do 3 seasons where each season is a book. 3 seasons of 10 to 13 episodes each. You could totally do it, and it would be awesome. But no, they had to make a movie, and the movie tried to encapsulate the Young Han Solo trilogy in a 2-hour movie, and you can't
stuff so much into such a small package, right?
All the raggedy ass shit Han Solo has done and been through in his life, and they just there's a lot of shit that's just completely missed that they either cut out to make the movie work for their convenience or whatever. It just didn't work. It was not it's not the worst movie ever. I mean, I think the new trilogy is kind of bad, but I think that Solo, people were so mad at The Last Jedi that they put it out on Solo, I don't think Solo was the worst film ever.
That would probably go to The Last Jedi.
No, I would not. I would not. The worst Star Wars movie would have to be Attack of the Clones.
Oh yeah, no. I'm gonna say The Phantom Menace. And the only reason I'm going to say The Phantom Menace is worse than Attack of the Clones is because the Attack of the Clones had some cool shit in there that redeemed it. Like seeing Yoda finally fight. Because the whole time, in The Phantom Menace, they're like, hey, what do you think you are, Yoda? It's well, I mean, just how badass is Yoda? Because, I mean, you have to remember, as a OG original fan, I remember Yoda being a senile old man who lived in a swamp. Right? That's basically... he beat up R2-D2 with a stick because he wouldn't give him a glow light. It's that type of shit. And then you finally see Yoda fight. It's well, shit, god damn. Well, no wonder people don't want to fight that little bastard. But yeah, Attack of the Clones had that kind of redeeming factor where you had some cool lightsaber fights. The CGI is a little too much, but it was pretty cool. But for me, especially how the Phantom Menace tried to build everything around Jar Jar Binks, because George Lucas just knew that Jar Jar Binks was going to be the next C-3PO / R2-D2 / Chewbacca.
Or if you believe in the theories, he was going to be the secret Sith Lord.
No.
Well, you had a secret Sith Lord. It was Chancellor Palpatine.
Someone being Emperor Palpatine's Sith Master.
Darth Plagueis?
Yeah.
That would have been jumping the shark, I think.
I was thinking.
The whole point of the prequel, I think that's just a rumor. I think really the whole point of the prequel trilogy was to show the prequel trilogy is a dark mirror for A New Hope. Because it's the Skywalker story. So basically, they become a mirror of each other. A New Hope. A New Hope means the galaxy's New Hope because we have a chance to finally defeat this emperor. But it's also Anakin Skywalker's New Hope because basically it's the start of his trail to redemption. And how is he redeemed? He's redeemed by his son. Or really his children, but he doesn't know he has a daughter. So he's redeemed by his son. And so basically, it's A New Hope. And then the Empire Strikes Back. So, the Empire shows, well, you caught us slipping, but you ain't going to catch us slipping again, right? and then the Return of the Jedi. Well, shit, Luke was never a Jedi, but Anakin Skywalker was a Jedi. So, it's symbolic of, Return of the Jedi. So, the Jedi, he basically, he he manages to do what he was supposed to do, which is bring balance to the Force. And, I mean, it is what it is. Like, here's the thing. Everyone was always like, oh, we need to get rid of George Lucas because George Lucas is the reason Star Wars is trash. Get rid of George Lucas. And they got George Lucas. And they got J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson and whatever. I forgot that lady's name who's the head of LucasArts now.
You mean Kathleen Kennedy?
Yeah, and let me tell you something, man. Like, let me put it this way. You might not like the McDonald's burgers George Lucas was making, but I tell you right now that he's not in the kitchen, Jesus Christ, is the quality worse.
I would say the quality, you find dirt with better taste than that.
And I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say, well, I disagree. And everyone is allowed to disagree. For me, I think they kind of fucked up in basically retelling
certain aspects of the story.
Well, basically, the Force Awakens is basically A New Hope, but done badly. Because basically, I mean, here's the thing. Everyone's always like, George Lucas, he's terrible at storytelling. But here's the thing, okay? In A New Hope, in the first 30 minutes of the film, you get so much information, right? You find out there's this monolithic empire, and there's this dude who's a bad motherfucker who works for that monolithic empire that people are deathly afraid of. And you find out why, oh shit, he's straight up choking motherfuckers out, with magic, because you don't know about the Force at this point. It's the first movie. You don't know shit about the Force or any of that shit. George Lucas hadn't tried to over-explain it at this point, right? And you find out that there's a rebellion going on, behind the scenes trying to overthrow this monolithic government. And you also hone in on this young boy who, he desperately wants, from some podunk little farm, who desperately wants to leave. And you get all of this information in 30 minutes. And it's like, wow, that's a lot of information. In The Force Awakens, you get that same information, but it's like the information isn't delivered.
It's done poorly.
Yeah. It's like, okay, and it's like, okay, this is set in the same universe. This is set basically 20, 30 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. How did it get to this point again?
Whoever was writing that.
You know the old saying, evil never sleeps.
Yeah, people always say that. I'm just saying that's kind of a shitty plot line to go down. Like, I'll tell you what would have made more sense if they were going to do a new trilogy. Okay, so you basically have, they take out the second Death Star, they take out the Emperor, but you have all these admirals with their fleet still going around who committed war crimes. These are people who attacked civilian populations, enslaved sentient species, murdered people. So wouldn't the new government go after these war criminals? Wouldn't that be a more interesting movie?
That's what the First Order is described to be, because they're just remnants of the Empire trying to rebuild.
That's my point. Like, it's literally, okay, we're just going to have the Empire again. Wouldn't the new government go out of their way that's formed to take out these rogue elements that are basically the remnant? Like, when they go out of their way because these people are war criminals. That would have been, to me, a more interesting story to tell with a new trilogy of like maybe you have someone who was an Alderanian who had their planet blown up by the fucking Empire. And they're like, fuck the Empire. Like, having a really dark and conflicted person who's from Alderaan had the Alderanians were a peaceful planet. They didn't have weapons on the planet for like thousands of years and had their planet fucking blown up by the Empire. And a guy is basically like a vengeful hunting down these admirals, and like having maybe he hunts down a former Imperial officer who's with his family. He's like eating at the table, like a vengeful Western where the guy's like, yeah, that was a long time ago. Don't do it in front of my family. He's like, well, I'm sorry. Like, this would be like some what's the name of that movie about the guy going after the drug dealers in Mexico, and he kills them in front of his kids, and he kills his kids too. Some shit like that. Now, of course, it's Star Wars, so you couldn't make it rated R, but I mean, really, some really dark shit. Maybe kidnapping an admiral who ordered the enslavement of the Wookiees, and he puts a slave collar on the guy and leaves him on Kashyyyk. and lets all the Wookiees know where he is. That would be a fucking Star Wars movie to watch. It would be like a manhunt movie. It'd be like, he's hunting down people and taking them out. He's got an enemies list. He puts together a crew, That'd be awesome. That'd be fucking awesome. But did we get that? No, we got A New Hope done badly. So that was nice.
Let's see. Well, we got two hot gaming topics to discuss about.
Go ahead.
Both Mortal Kombat 11 and Persona 5 the Royale. Both Mortal Kombat 11 and Persona 5 are getting a lot of flack recently.
One justly, one unjustly, but go ahead.
If anything, I think I could guess what happened with Mortal Kombat 11. They used a lot of real life insults of sorts and alternate costume design limitations. And then I think the gameplay is up next with how they distribute loot.
Oh no, it's not the shady microtransactions and loot box system. People are more the fans are more focused on how the female characters are not sexualized enough.
I called it.
I just have a question. Why would you want to maybe Katana, okay, that'd be cool, but Melina with that Barracan Tartakan mouth, why would you want to seriously?
Because they think it's part of the Mortal Kombat series, even though that hasn't been.
Yeah, those female characters in Mortal Kombat were never hot. I hate to break that to people. None of the characters in Mortal Kombat have ever been what you would call classically attractive. They're not good-looking people. I'm sorry. You want good-looking player characters, you got to go play Street Fighter, or Darkstalkers.
But the Street Fighter characters have unrealistic body proportions, whereas the Mortal Kombat characters do.
Yeah, but that's my point. If you want a fighting game that has female characters that are really, really, really attractive, like I said, you gotta play like your SNKs with Mai Shiranui and Street Fighter with Chun-Li and Cammy with that permanent wedgie / camel toe going on. You can't. I'm sorry, I hate to break this to you, but you're not they've never been attractive in Mortal Kombat. Even in the old Mortal Kombat, Sonya Blade wasn't good looking. Sonya Blade looked like an aerobics TV personality.
People can be into that kind of outfit.
Yeah, I mean, if you like skinny ass women with no asses, yeah, that's Sonya Blade's perfect for you. But that's.
And then there's the controversy regarding Jax's arcade ending.
Whatever. I don't. I really don't. I think people are just way too. I think characters not being overly sexualized. I mean, I don't personally care. I thought the real controversy would be how grindy the game is.
That's what I was thinking.
And how you have to be online in order to access. To me, that's more of a controversy than Sonya Blade ain't hot enough.
Yeah, the loot boxes got overshadowed by people complaining about the female characters not being sexualized enough, as well as Jax's ending being quote unquote woke.
Oh boy.
It is what it is. I mean, whatever. But then you have Persona 5 Scramble.
Yeah, people are upset that it wasn't the Persona 5 Switch port that they were expecting.
Well, I mean,
that it's a Warrior spin-off title.
Well, two things. First of all, the Warrior spin-off games, they're hit or miss for me personally. When there's a Warrior spin-off, if you don't give a shit about the IP, then you're probably not going to give a shit about the Warriors game, because Warriors games eventually get really fucking repetitive. Even if you
They get repetitive right out of the gate.
Well, but I mean, you kind of let that go because you like the IP. Like, I liked Hyrule Warriors for about 10 hours in, and then after that, I was just like, fuck. And the same thing with One Piece Warriors. It's not called that, but basically it's One Piece Warriors. Like, those games after a while get really, really, really
old.
Repetitive. They get really repetitive. Persona 5S, Persona 5 Scramble is probably going to be the same, where it's like, if you really like Persona 5, I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, I mean, it just seems kind of weird that they would do a Persona 5 thing when they could have just done Persona in general and had multiple characters, which would have made more sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Persona 3 and 4.
Yeah, because, like, you know, whatever. You know, listen. I don't run their business, so I'm just telling you that probably would have made more sense to me, business wise. That would have made more sense.
And just like Mortal Kombat 11, there's controversy about the new female character from Persona 5 Royale being quote unquote sexualized because she's wearing a gymnast outfit.
Well, female characters in Persona have always not. I mean, there's always been one or two female characters in Persona who've always been kind of sexualized, so that's not really.
I was going to ask, who's the lucky one?
To make matters worse, she's 15.
Oh boy!
Well,
Red?
it is Japan. It is Japan, and I think the age of consent in Japan is 15. So I'm not cool with it. I'm just telling you what it is. Okay?
I was saying that I know what you'd say with that one, Red.
I mean, like I said, I don't look at an underage child as being sexually attractive, but it's Japan, and that's like a big thing.
Yeah, it's a 15-year-old who looks like a young adult.
Yeah. So I'm not cool with it, but it is Japan. So I mean, what are you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Oh, that's it.
I mean, the only thing you can do is just not buy the game if it bothers you that much. And to be fair, considering that Persona 5 didn't really set the world on fire, like in terms of moving PS4 units, like I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some port of Persona 4 or 5 to the Switch sometime in the future. Not immediately, but probably next year, maybe even later this year. Could happen.
One could hope.
Yeah. I mean, hell, I already have the game on PS3, so I don't give a shit. But you get what I'm saying? Like, it's...
All right, so I guess we can move on to Nintendo's financial meeting they had today.
They made a lot of money. The Switch is at 35 million units sold at this point. They've sold over 100 million pieces of software. Sorry, units of software. What else? And apparently, the rumor is they're coming out with a smaller, stripped down Switch unit.
And it'll be gonna be sold in China, and it will be the only version of the Switch available in that country.
Yeah, that just seems kind of
dickish.
No, it just seems kind of weird to me. I personally, what I think's going on is that they basically are putting it in China so that because China has a huge market, but they don't want to put a huge amount of money into it because they know their shit's going to get pirated, but they want to get some type of money out of it. So, I mean, I don't know.
Get that.
I don't know. That's my own opinion. Because I mean, China's been pirating their shit for years anyway. So,
and Nintendo's been partnering with Tencent in order to release the Switch in mainland China.
Well, they have to because
Tencent.
China won't let you do business unless you partner with one of their domestic companies in order to distribute things. So,
oh, great.
Because it is a communist country and they want money to be funneled into the country.
Much like how Hollywood movies have to had to partner with Chinese studios in order for their movies to come out in mainland China.
Yeah, or Japan has something similar where like if you want if a game is going to be released in Japan, it can't be released let's say I think Grand Theft Auto wasn't released by Take-Two in Japan because Take-Two doesn't exist in Japan. Like it's not allowed, it's a foreign company. So instead it had to go through, I think Namco Bandai released Grand Theft Auto 5 in Japan. Like there's just certain games that which is why you'll see like a game get released by someone. It's like, that's a kind of a weird game to come out in that country.
Yeah.
But hey, well, I'm just a guy.
And this is why you need to have divisions, country-based divisions for your company to prevent this from.
Well, I mean, that can also happen, but I think a lot of it is just like gameplay-wise. It's just like kind of like how can I put this? Sometimes you just don't want a foreign company having that much access to your market because it crowds out what your homegrown stuff, because that's money leaving your country, like money that could be spent, money that could be circulating in your own economy is going outside of your economy, so that's not good. It's like I own a business. It's easier for me to keep as much stuff in-house as humanly possible rather than have stuff be going out. You know what I mean?
In short, it's best to have something more local than imported, right?
Yeah, because that's money leaving my money leaving my business that should be flowing inside and outside my own business is going out to some Yahoo, some wackaloon out in someplace else. So there's a method to the madness. I know some people are going to be like, oh, but that's not. And, I know what some people are going to say. Look, listen, that's just the way it is. And Nintendo's had this shit going on for years where, basically, people are always saying Nintendo's going to fail. Well, I mean, you do realize that Nintendo always, more often than not, has at least their handheld or their home console dominating the Japanese market.
They always have a backup plan or plan B.
Well, what I'm saying is that they always, when it comes to their own home market, they always have at least their handheld or their home console, sometimes both, dominating their own home market, which is a smart move because it means that even if shit goes south everywhere else, they can at least survive. You know what I mean? That's a smart move. Unlike Sony, which,
they killed their Vita, they killed their PSP, and well.
Speaking of Sony, their Japan division has allegedly clarified their policies on censorship recently.
Yeah, basically their policy is we do what we want and fuck you if you don't like it.
And I quote, the policies that are being applied nowadays have existed for a long time, but Sony has started to enforce them in stricter ways on a global level. While they technically aren't any new regulations, they have been applied in a rather relaxed way until recent times, and that attitude has now changed.
Yeah, that's just kind of weird to me personally because how can I put this nicely? The reason it's a little weird to me is because you have games like Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA 5, The Last of Us, games with some pretty disgusting shit going on.
And then they censor it.
Yeah, one of our contributors knows that too.
And they don't censor that. And they're releasing fucking that shitty game from that shitty game from Kojima. And that game has a grown man with a C-section scar on it. And I'm pretty sure Kojima's games always have some type of sick perverted thing going on. Like in the original Metal Gear Solid,
I was going to say, I call him the WTF guy.
Well, his games always have some type of perverted thing. Like in Metal Gear Solid, for the PS1, you could sneak into the women's bathroom and pull a gun on this lady and stare so much that she'd pee her pants. Just for no reason, you could do that. And all of his games have some weird shit like that. So I mean, I'm not really surprised. Like, it's kind of weird that I think Sony's just full of shit. I mean, can we all agree on that? Sony's just full of shit. They just don't know what they're doing.
They're insane. I'm trying to be nice, but you're right, Red.
I mean, one of our contributors said it best. It seems to be targeted only more on smaller Japanese developers than the bigger ones.
Yeah, because the bigger ones have more clout to defend themselves. I mean, they've been doing this
and more money to pay Sony.
Yeah, this is just Sony. Sony basically sees that the PS4 isn't setting the world afire like it was some years ago. So now they're like, oh shit, we gotta milk this cow for as long as we can. So now they're like, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be some type of censorship on a console, because I mean, there are some games on the Switch eShop where I'm like, Nintendo
really
fucking ball on this one. But I mean, I guess it's their reaction to them basically being considered to be the old. Oh, you're trying to hold my hand, Nintendo. Why are you treating me like a baby? From back in the day. Now it's swung in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, personally, I think there can be a happy medium between the two. I don't think that you should be like, okay, well, we can't do anything, but I also don't think that everything should be like, no, there's no, how can I put this? There's no
restraint.
Yeah, there's no sense. There's no curation. Because there's some shit, like I said, I mean, you look at the Nintendo eShop, there's some stuff on the Switch eShop where I'm like,
really?
Oh, man.
But then again, we got Steam Store that pulls off the same stuff.
Yeah, but here's the difference between the Steam Store. There is some curation. And the more shit you buy on the Steam Store, like, it starts to recognize what type of games you like, and you see more shit that you like. Nintendo doesn't even have that. They're like, hey, look at this, boom! It's like, wow, that's a good game, but what's a good game being next to this shit? What happened there?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that shit from, buddy? But that's just me. I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude. Just a dude.
I thought you were gonna sing the Bill song.
I'm only a Bill. Yes, I'm only a Bill.
And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
Yes, but yet and still, I'm only a Bill. Schoolhouse rocks, you bastards. But anyway, yeah, I'm like, I mean, like I said, I really do like this stuff, but I just think it could be a lot better. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I think it could be better. I think gaming could be
done better.
And like I said, I know people are going to get angry. How dare you? You should accept everything. It's not that I don't accept everything. I just think that some things could be better.
Yeah, it's just that anything for me, I have to look before I make a complaint, and sometimes what you see can make you question somebody's sanity.
Let me see if I can find anything else before we wrap things up.
Yeah. Anyone looking forward to any cool games coming out?
Well, I was looking forward to Mortal Kombat 11 until I heard about the microtransactions thing. And now I'm on the fence.
How hugely grindy it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this right now. I know some people might get angry. I was never a big Mortal Kombat fan. I was like, because the big hook about Mortal Kombat was that, oh, it has violent fatalities, and that was it. Like it didn't necessarily play as
It
well
used
as
shock
Street
factor.
Fighter. Yeah, it didn't play as well as Street Fighter or even
Or
SNK versus Capcom or SNK, any of the SNK games or the Neo Geo fighting games. So it was like, what's the point? Like, why? It was kind of weird to me, you know. But that's my own personal opinion. I know some people will disagree because people are allowed to disagree because we are human. But that's just me. But yeah, I'm not the biggest. I'm not the biggest. The hell? I'm not the biggest. Not the biggest fan of that type of stuff. But that's it. I got no other games that I'm like really all that hyped up for as of late. Except for maybe Rogue Galaxy, The Outer Worlds. I was really looking forward to Borderlands 3, but when they did that stuff, I was like, I can't really support you. Not to mention, Gearbox is already really kind of shady anyway because of the shit they've been doing. You know? So it's not like I can kind of just let that go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't be like, oh, there's nothing that happened. Here, let me look up. Let me look up.
yeah, I should remember. There is one thing I want to say. Dragalia Lost and Fire Emblem Heroes are just released their crossover trailer today.
Yeah.
Dragalia Lost, I know because it's a mobile phone game from Nintendo. What was
and side games?
Okay. Which game are they crossing over with?
Fire Emblem Heroes.
Oh.
But only four of those characters from Fire Emblem Heroes are appearing in this crossover.
Oh shit! Steam World Quest is out today. God damn! I'm gonna have to buy that. Okay.
Your wallet must be sobbing in the corner.
Yes, because tomorrow's payday. So, but I'm gonna wait till tomorrow. Project Nimbus is coming out next month. It's a game with giant mechs going around beating the shit out of each other. So there you go. So yeah, Persona 5 Scramble's coming, and it's a Warriors game, so you know what that means.
More grinding, repetitive grinding.
Basically, yeah. It's going to be a lot of repetitive grinding. Just a lot of ever-present. Just, hey, look, I'm grinding, and not in a good way.
Yeah, the EXP is gonna get low real quick.
So, personally, I just get tired of it. I just personally just kind of get tired of that particular genre of gameplay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, how many times can I play a game where, you know, you're running around doing the same shit over and over and over again? How long can we deal with that? I personally don't like it, but I know some people do, so. God bless you. God bless you if you like it, but I don't.
Oh yeah, and there was this rumor from one Twitter user saying that the 3DS will be discontinued that the 3DS is Nintendo discontinuing the 3DS will be announced today in their financial meeting. Turns out that rumor was false, as Nintendo just said that they're continuing support for the 3DS.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to say. Nintendo isn't going to discontinue the 3DS until they have a 3DS successor. And like I've said, I don't think the Switch is the 3DS successor.
I'm sorry. Can I at least hear that again?
Though it might be announced later because they also confirmed that they're not going to announce any new hardware at E3 this year.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I just, personally, I just don't see the Switch being their 3DS successor. I do think if they're going to announce a 3DS successor, it'll probably be next year. Because I mean, by that point, like it'll probably be announced next year. It'll probably come out in 2021, but they'll announce it next year and show off some games. Like, hey, get excited for this game! Get excited for this game! Blah blah blah, yakety smackety.
And also, I'm sorry. I want to hear that again. That somebody's wrong about the 3DS, right? Oh, I never get tired of that.
That's not really surprising because
I know, but I like these.
Want the 3DS to fail? I don't get it.
For me, I just get a good laugh hearing these idiots get egg on their face. So can I enjoy that?
I mean, you can, but
yeah, because if anything, the only time that their predictions are right is when something is on the horizon and they can't get rid of it.
They can't deal with the shit.
Yep.
I mean, it's like I said, it's not that the 3DS is a shitty console. It's just, to me, it's getting a little long in the tooth.
It's aged.
It's getting it's getting to the point where you can clearly see that, like, I love the 3DS. It's a great console, but it's a great handheld. But it's getting to the point where
it's starting to show its age.
It's starting to show its age, and I think that its technical limitations are holding back the types of games they can put on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I know people are like, I like my 3DS. I'm not saying that it's not a good thing. I'm saying that we're getting to the point now where
we're in need of a new handheld.
Yes. We're in need of a new handheld. And I know people are going to get mad when they hear that. Oh, but how dare you, sir? But I mean,
here's the thing. My complaint would be that people are going to say the Switch is the new handheld, which I can give them a middle digit to pluck them.
And of course, unlike the Switch, it's probably going to have backwards compatibility with 3DS games anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, basically, my idea for 3D, because I mean, basically, the 3DS at this point has sold almost 80 million units. If it's not 80 million, it's knocking on that door, or maybe even above it. Basically, they don't want to say "fuck you" to those 80 million people. Okay, they don't want to piss those people off because that's your base, right? You don't want to make them angry. But on the other hand, they have to have games on a new handheld that justify spending, $299 on a Switch and then going out and getting a whatever handheld Nintendo comes out with. So,
hopefully under 200. Hopefully 200 and under.
Well, I mean, the 3DS when it launched was what, 230, 240?
Yeah.
250, something like that.
It was actually It was 225 by where I was.
No, I'm gonna look up its launch price because I know I paid more than that because I bought it at launch. I bought it day one because I buy Nintendo. People like to talk shit about me not being a Nintendo fan, but I buy most of their shit day one. So, I'm not a Nintendo fan.
If anything, Nintendo usually has good quality hardware. And
but still, day one price for 3DS. The day one price of the 3DS was Shit. At launch. Can't even find that. They keep on saying day one price of the 3DS. It was $249.99, $250. Whatever Nintendo's next console is going to be, it's going to have to be $250 or less. Handheld device. It cannot be as much or close to the price of their home console. Because people are going to be, why the fuck am I buying a home console that costs as much as
a handheld?
A handheld, and vice versa. Why am I buying a handheld that costs as much as a home console? So it's got to be a little bit cheaper. Personally, so whatever, so that pretty much guarantees whatever their new handheld is going to be, it's going to be backwards compatible with the 3DS because they can use a lot of those old parts to keep the price down. Yeah, I said it. Because Nintendo's cheap, son. They're cheap. They're cheap bastards. I love
Apparently, you're cheaper.
Yeah, I am cheap. Yeah, I'm cheap. Why should I not be cheap? My money.
I said you're cheaper than them.
I am. I work hard for my money. I ain't just gonna go give it up easy, shit. But yeah, whatever Nintendo's next handheld is gonna be, it's gonna be backwards it's probably gonna be backwards compatible with the 3DS. Graphically, I think it's probably gonna be a Wii U in your hand. Graphically speaking, hell, it might even just be a Wii U in your hands with the dual screen thing going on. That might be it. And they'll call it the 4DS. No, I'm joking, but you get what I'm saying. It's gonna be awesome.
With that, I'm fresh out of news.
I got nothing. Okay, cool. Well, I guess we can end the podcast because got nothing else to say. So, who wants to give their sign out, or does anyone have anything they want to bring up before we wrap things up?
Well, if anything, I'll do this just to save you a little time. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that this Saturday we are going to host our usual BS busting.
That is correct.
And hopefully we'll have something to play around with.
Yeah, I might give a spoiler-free review of in-game, maybe, depending on how I feel.
And I'm gonna go shopping tomorrow and then watch Endgame the day after.
Endgame.
The day after its release.
Yeah.
And of course, do some personal stuff that are really important for my career, my road, for my career goal anyway.
All right.
Good luck there.
All right. So yeah, I will be doing absolutely nothing tomorrow. I might go to the movies, and that's a big might. Like it may or may not happen. I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I may watch Endgame. Heck, I might go watch Hellboy tomorrow and watch Endgame Saturday. I don't know. But either way, it's gonna be fun. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. I'm gonna steal a page from out of Shadow Fox's playbook. Do you play games to have fun or to impress other people? And if you do play games just to impress other people, what the hell's wrong with you? With that being said, that's in the podcast. You can reach me on Mr. mrredfoxbsbusters at gmail.com or Matthew Wesley at mrredfox91 on Twitter. You can also find me on the interwebs on YouTube by finding my channel, Mr. Red Fox. So with that being said, that's in the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace. Good night.